Welcome back to Analysis. Today we've been looking at the boycott of Israel in the wake of the row over actor Scarlett Johansson's decision to represent the SodaStream company. In this half we're asking, is celebrity endorsement more trouble than it's worth? And should we be influenced by what celebrities think anyway? Well, back to the discussion. Paul, just so that we root this in sort of the real world and not in the celebrity culture, what does it actually mean for a company like SodaStream or others that are in these areas? How does that work? What does it mean for them? Why are they doing it?
Well, they're doing it because there's the opportunity offered by the Israeli government to find a workforce who are desperate for employment. As a result of the occupation, there are so few jobs available, and so any job is seen as something that some people would regard as worth taking. Others would feel that they can't stomach the idea of working for a company that's actually exploiting their own abuse. And I mean, the UK government has warned British companies that operating on a commercial basis in the settlement areas is something that they don't encourage. But still we have produce going into UK supermarkets from that region, and we think that's reprehensible, and that's why we're campaigning against the occupation.
Nancy, what do you make of the argument that SodaStream have put forward, at least this is giving people jobs? I mean, we hear this all over the place when bad things are happening. It's excused by the fact that people have got a job. But what do you make of that argument?
Well, I mean, I would very much question whether these are jobs that people are freely choosing to take on when they're under an occupation, when they're under essentially like a military occupation as well, and when the economy has been ground down to such an extent so that, you know, there are no other jobs. So for me, these aren't jobs that people have freely chosen. They're jobs that they're taking basically on the, the barrel of a gun. And although, SodaStream have kind of been making these statements about how well treated people are, like that's not what the people working in the factories are saying. They're saying actually it's an extremely racist environment for them to work in. They don't expect to ever get a raise or be treated well, and they know that they can and will be fired at the drop of a hat if they ever speak up about how they're being treated. So SodaStream is trying to create an image of something that's just not the case.
Paul, so, I mean, it might be an exaggeration to say this is forced labour, but it wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that it's labour under duress, would it?
Sure, and those workers know that they are at the behest of that company, a powerful company. And if you look at the idea of a big company like SodaStream gaining profits from an occupation, then this week we've heard on BBC television from SodaStream that this is an example of harmonious relationships between Israelis and Palestinians, when in fact it's actually a smokescreen from the reality of every day of suffering for the vast majority of Palestinians.
Okay, well, let's return now to some of the discussion that we began in the first half about the use of celebrities in these kind of circumstances. And I'm just going to read now as a statement by another charity, Save the Children, made this statement about their use of celebrity supporters. They said, high-profile supporters can be hugely influential and help us in a number of ways. Their passion and conviction helps generate national media coverage, which we otherwise would not get. Add social media impact, influence, word of mouth, and all the behind-the-scenes work celebrities do, from fundraising and inspiring friends to raise vital awareness, and it's clear that the right celebrity supporters can make a huge difference to a charity's cause. Okay, so that's the pro-celebrity. That's the position that we definitely need to use them. They help raise awareness. Do you think it's true, or do you think there's a sort of element of mutually sustaining illusion here? The celebrities like to feel they're making a difference. The companies like to employ them because they feel they're making a difference. But out there in the world, it's kind of just noise that most people block out.
I think with the media as it is today, I think it is true that you can sometimes get headlines by having a celebrity endorse whatever idea you're putting out there. But it's not the only way to get headlines or to get people involved. I mean, like the Stop the War Coalition, for example, wasn't built on celebrity backing. You know, we were on the front page of newspapers and built a movement by getting 2 million people out onto the street. So for me, I'd much rather do a campaign that people could relate to directly because they believe in it, not because they happen to like a celebrity in a film and have, you know, built up some kind of trust for them. So celebrity endorsement is one way, but I think charities are on very thin ice and very dangerous ground if they start seeing that as the only way to connect with people.
Paul, do you think even where they get the headlines, I mean, that you know, as Tansy says, no doubt that's true. If you know, a celebrity does a press conference or makes a press call, that's going to be different from maybe the head of the charity themselves doing it. But after the headline's gone, is there actually a knock-on? Is there actually more money coming in? Is there actually more support happening? Does that publicity in itself mean very much?
Well, in our case, many of our supporters have attended and supported our annual comedy show because they know that the bill will feature artists who do have a radical commitment, and so that's become an ongoing thing. But if you take another area of celebrity activity, I mean, Kate Middleton has made a big thing about having particular stores in the fashion world that Tansy knows well, and we've worked with the press to expose the fact that those stores are using sweatshop labour. There was another example of a British supermarket bringing out a bag, a so-called eco bag, that was made with sweatshop labour. So I think there's a gain to be made initially, but when sometimes you look behind the headlines, there's a murky area that needs to be brought forward.
And from your experience, I mean, who is it who's kind of fronted up stuff for War on Want, and what kind of difference has it made to you?
Well, I mean, we've been working on the Palestine issue for decades. Roger Waters going out to Palestine, speaking out against the separation war, the apartheid war.
And was that part of a War on Want initiative?
Yes, I mean, it was part of the work we were doing to research and produce the report I mentioned, Profiting from the Occupation. Since then, I mean, only in recent months, we've brought over Angela Davis, a legendary human rights campaigner, record time tickets went for a London event. This is all part of building more support in Britain for what is often described in the media as an intractable issue and a conflict, when in fact there's an occupier and a victim.
So do you only select, you know, do you only approach celebrities who, if you like, you think have got a political affinity with you already?
Well, we tend to be careful about who we go for, because what we don't want to end up with is someone who in Oxfam found to their cost. And it's most unfortunate. I mean, Oxfam have spoken out, and to their credit, they've maintained their position on Palestine. But yeah, you do need to research things carefully, because it's also for both parties necessary, because it's embarrassing for the celebrity to have to pull out when they've already publicly stated their support for a particular cause. Yeah.
Tansy, do you think that you know, maybe we should deal with this in two different categories? There are people who are political. Anyway, I mean, Angela Davis, probably associating with War on Want's one of the softer things she's done in her career, and she's probably burnishing the soft side of her image by associating with War on Want. But do you think for people who aren't starting out with a political background, do you think that far from, you know, they kind of only gravitate to a cause once the work's been done, once it's in the public eye, that it's not really that they're sort of pioneering the way forward?
I think, well, definitely celebrities often get a lot more credit than they deserve. But it can be beneficial. I mean, the No Glory campaign, for example, which is working to highlight the anniversary of World War I and working against the British government, trying to boost that, has got a very famous celebrity backer in Jude Law, who's just been happy to sign the statement and stuff. So it can be beneficial, and it, you know, it can it can get you more coverage than you might normally have. But just the key is just not to hollow out your campaign so that you're only catering to your celebrities and your, and they, like I said before, so that they become the end rather than a means to an end.
And Paul, what does it concretely mean? I mean, do you actually get more money when besides publicity? I can see the publicity thing, but in terms of people actually who are paying to sustain your campaign or undertaking an active part in your campaign, does that change because of this?
We found that people who are among those who find favourites in the celebrity world, whether they're comedians or actors like Vanessa Redgrave. We've had comedians like Marcus Brigstock, Stuart Lee. That will actually engage people who may not necessarily have thought about the Palestine cause. And also, I mean, speaking as someone who's a Jewish anti-Zionist, I'm proud of the fact that War and Want has worked with people in the Enough campaign on Israel, with Alexei Sale, then Mike Lee, and also we often see in the press letters signed by celebrities who will, among readers, be identified perhaps for the first time. Miriam Margolis is another Jewish actor who show the other side, because there is this view of the Jewish community in Britain, and elsewhere, that it's completely homogenous, are all foursquare behind Israel, when it's far more split. And we talked about recent years' developments over the BDS campaign, but many Jewish people have spoken out about Israel's transgressions, and that's a good thing.
Tansy, let's just look at another aspect of this, because it hasn't been much commented on, but actually, in fact, rather reverse, it's been discussed as if these are two kind of competing social conscience things. Either you're with SodaStream or you're with Oxfam. But in actual fact, Oxfam was charity work. SodaStream was a paying advertising contract. She was paid to be the face of SodaStream. And although there was some kind of ethical dressing it up of SodaStream being a green company and whatnot, essentially the division was between people who are paying me to do a job and charity work that I'm doing. Now those are two very different prospects, aren't they?
Yes, they are. But I suppose it kind of shows how much celebrities have become a part of charity culture, in that they are seen as the face of the charity, in the same way that they're seen as the face of like a corporate brand. Yeah. So the two have become.
And what do you make of it? I mean, there's a recent case of Jack Monroe, a girl called Jack, who wrote the column basically about people who are poor on benefits and how you can make meals very cheaply, who's just had an advertising contract now with Sainsbury's. So in a way, here's somebody who became noticed because of a political blog, who's now taken an advertising contract. What do you make of that?
Well, I think the two, I have to say, I think the two are very different. I mean, Scarlett Johansson is a multi-millionaire. She's set for life, whereas Jack Monroe, spent several years feeding her child and herself on, I think it's £5 a week. So I'm not going to judge Jack Monroe on the same standards that I judge Scarlett Johansson. So I think they're very different, but obviously, whenever you choose to become the face of any brand, you are going to face compromises.
Because there's a kind of slide there, isn't there? I mean, the way the Sainsbury's advert's done, it's kind of, that Sainsbury's, these corporations know exactly what they're doing. They know exactly who they're employing and why they're employing them. And the kind of suggestion in the advert is that this is a company for poor people in the middle of an austerity program.
Well, I mean that's basically exactly what any company does when they sign up a celebrity. It's what H&M does when they. Cause it's not just women, obviously. It's what H&M do when they sign up David Beckham to front its advertising campaigns. It's what Coke Zero did when they sign up Wayne Rooney. So with H&M, you stop thinking about the sweatshops and the environmental devastation, and you start thinking about David Beckham being all suave and like a great footballer. And same with with Coke Zero, you stop thinking, their thinking goes, you stop thinking about this disgusting drink, which is basically a poison, and you start thinking about like an athlete and a footballer and stuff. So, so celebrity brands are bought and stuck wholesale onto corporate brands in order to shade the horrible dealings that the company's doing.
Paul, do you think any of this, I mean, because, what Tansy is describing there and what I was suggesting is a mentality that the advertisers or the corporations, seeking to win the celebrities, or indeed the charities seeking to use the celebrities, think is happening. But when it gets right down to it, do you think it actually is happening? Do you actually think that anybody watching, a particular celebrity fronting up this campaign thinks, well, I wasn't going to back that, but if so-and-so is doing it, I'm definitely going to do that. Do you think that's a thought process that anybody has?
Tansy is far more expert on this issue than me, but I follow the media as a journalist and know that when a fashion designer puts together a collection for a high street chain, there are queues around the block, people fighting each other for the clothes. Now, one day I was rung by a Sunday Times journalist and said, asked, any idea where the Kate Moss range is made for Arcadia? And I gave her a few contacts, and she got a front page story, splash, in the paper, Kate Moss range made with sweatshop labour in Mauritius. Now, Sunday Times is not the most obvious paper you'd think would run that kind of story. And in a way, the celebrities did us a turn because they helped focus attention on the campaign that there's no store chain in the high street that is ensuring a living wage for the workers overseas making their clothes.
Well, do you think that's a way for radical campaigns to go, that they pick on somebody who's actually promoting it for their own ends and for the corporation's own ends, and then revealing the truth about it? Is that perhaps that's a sharper way or a more effective way of dealing with the whole issue?
Well, I think if
it's sort of reverse exploitation of celebrities.
Well, I think if anything good has come out of this whole Scarlett Johansson debacle, it is that more people than ever before, I would say, are now aware of where SodaStream is made and the conditions of the people living around the factories and working in the factories.
Well, that kind of brings it back to your original point, because for the full sort of reverse exploitation of celebrities to happen, there has to be a campaign that can take sort of tactical advantage of that, doesn't there?
Definitely, yes, definitely. I mean, Scarlett Johansson has been brought down, as it were, in this case because of the international movement for boycotting Israel and because of organisations like War on Want and Palestine Solidarity Campaign and Stop the War and stuff, and of course the Palestinian resistance in Palestine, who have kicked up an absolutely massive fuss about this hypocrisy.
So, I mean, you've been involved in some of this business, haven't you? Kind of how should we put it, catching the celebrities out and revealing the sort of real world background to what they're doing. Do you think that's been more effective than some of the sort of pro celebrity endorsement?
Well, I mean, the British media, I say this as a journalist because I know it to be the case that there's a sort of paradoxical nature of celebrity culture in the media, in that they like building up the profiles of people and also look for their peccadillos. People have tried to sell good newspapers and failed. So, story about Kate Middleton's clothes coming from a sweatshop in Romania or Bangladesh is news. I have to say that speaking up for the celebrities that we work for, that quite often, I mean, in the case of Scarlett Johansson, she's made a commercial decision. Clearly, she doesn't need the money, but she's gone for those huge sums from SodaStream to put into her bank balance. But there are celebrities with a political commitment to radical causes that we work with who give their time and energy and appear in the media for no fee, and I think they should be lauded for that. I mean, take the example of a stand-up comic, Francesca Martinez. I mean, she's suffered discrimination both in the past as a woman and as a disabled person, but she's put herself forward spoken out on a number of issues. She'll be speaking at a rally about the austerity in Britain. She's spoken out about the causes that we support, and I think that's admirable.
I mean, even for somebody like Roger Waters, who is a there'd have to be something pretty big to tarnished Roger Waters' reputation at this stage in his career. But I mean, speaking out as forcefully as he did, that's a risk, isn't it? Even if you're as big as he is.
Yes, it's a risk, but I mean, he's in a very stable position. I mean, as you say, I mean, he's at the top. Like he's had the rock band. Like he's made it already, and it's not likely something's going to topple him at this point.
Well, OK, well, that relative note of freedom for Roger Waters, but not sadly for the Palestinians, we're going to have to leave the discussion. But in future, of course, we will be back covering all aspects of the Palestinian struggle for liberation. So rejoin us in future editions of Analysis. Thanks for watching.